6 key things your chapter 1, the introduction, must have. Many students struggle when writing chapter 1 of their research projects, especially the introduction section. Some people are not sure what exactly should be included or excluded, while others end up writing too much without even a clear structure. In this video, I'll briefly explain 6 key elements that every strong chapter 1, that is the introduction, should contain. If these elements are properly written, your research will start on a very solid foundation. So let's get into it. The background of the study. The first thing your introduction should contain is the background of the study. This section explains the general context of your research topic. In other words, you are helping the reader understand what the topic is about and why it is important to your study. Here, you usually begin broadly by discussing the general issue, and then you gradually narrow it down to a specific area that your research will focus on. 2. Statement of the problem. The second most important element in your introduction should be the statement of the problem. Every research study exists because there is a problem that needs to be understood or solved. In this section, you clearly explain what that problem is. A good problem statement should show the gap in knowledge, practice, or understanding that your research is trying to address. 3. Research objectives. Your introduction should present the research objectives. These objectives explain what your study intends to achieve, and these are usually written as clear and specific goals that should guide the entire research process. And your objectives should directly relate to the problem you identified earlier. 4. Research questions. This is closely related to the objectives, and research questions help guide the direction of the study by clearly stating what the researcher wants to find out. In many cases, each research objective can also be converted into a corresponding research question, and this is usually the best way. 5. Significance of the study. Another key element in your introduction is the significance of the study. In this section, you explain who will benefit from your research and how the findings may be useful. For example, you might study something that might benefit students, teachers, policymakers, researchers, or organizations, depending on the particular topic. 6. Scope of the study. Finally, your chapter 1 should include and define the scope of the study. The scope just explains the boundaries and limits of your work, such as the population being studied, the location, or the time period you are covering. This actually helps readers understand exactly what the research will focus on and what it will not cover. So, whenever you are writing an introduction to chapter 1, remember to include these 6 key elements: the background of the study, the statement of the problem, your research objectives, the significance of the study, the scope of the study. And when these are clearly written, your research will begin with a strong and well-structured foundation. Thank you for sticking around. See you in the next one. Bye.